Hey guys, welcome back to the Thirsty Mason. Today is a very interesting topic. I'm going to be talking about the single most expensive wine variety and why it is the most expensive wine variety. And it's something you might not actually consider, and that is fortified wine, in particular white fortified wine. The only real fortified red of significant note would be port, and port can be quite pricey. But what I'm talking to you about today is literally a freak of nature wine, and you pay that price. All right, I want you to consider yourself, first and foremost, a winemaker, a man that owns a vineyard. Yeah? And it gets to January, February, late March, and you get a call from your grower, and he goes, "Sir, I'm sad to tell you that your entire vineyard's covered in rot." All right, how would you feel? You'd feel like, holy shit, I'm devastated. At least for a common person, I'd be like, oh wow, that's a shit go. He just lost his entire vintage. Believe it or not, God just gave that bloke a free ticket to the Bahamas. He gets to go holidaying early this year, because what he has is something called Botrytis focaliana, and that is a special type of mold that infects grapes, breaks down the structural integrity of the skin, and as a result dries it out from dehydration in the sun, amplifying the sugar content naturally. A Botrytis wine is the most expensive wine on earth because it relies solely on nature itself to produce it. Alright, so for example, Chateau d'Yquem is the premier source of proper Sauterne. Sauterne is Botrytis wine, and that is a Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc blend, or a straight Semillon. And Semillon is used because it is the most likely to contract the noble rot, Botrytis. As a result, if you manage to get yourself a Botrytis Semillon, which is I think quite a great achievement that Australia has finally managed to have, where our Semillon is very receptive to getting the noble Botrytis. 2006 we got it, 2016 we got it, 2017 we got it, 18, 19, 20, 21 we have not got it. That's how rare this stuff is, yeah? So when you see a Botrytis Semillon, like this one here, they only ever sell it in 375ml bottles, half bottles, because the stuff, it's liquid gold and you're paying that much for it. The average Australian Botrytis Semillon usually sells at about $10 per 100 mil. Per 100 mil. That's 10 cents a milliliter. Put that in perspective, yeah? So getting your hands on a true Botrytis wine, it's a symbol of significant status. There's very limited amounts, and you have to treat it with a lot of respect because the winemaking process is a lot more hands-on. You have to pay that price because it all has to be a handmade vintage. They have to pick several waves. So you notice the rot, and then the rot doesn't spread evenly. You have to pick it up in the first wave, the second wave, and then the third wave to ensure that the rot goes through the entire grape vintage, so you can get your entire grape's value out of it. You get less juice, but that juice is so sweet that even after it ferments out to about 12% or 10% or 11% in this case, okay, there is still plenty of residual sugar. This is a high-end, crazy quality wine. And the fact that you can pick it up for whatever it is, $10 per 100 ml in Australia, it's a gift, believe it or not. Because you would have to pay $100 per 100 ml, $1 a mil. All right, in Sauterne for a Chateau d'Yquem of the same quality. They try to give you the value by essentially racking it off. So basically, if I was to make a Botrytis wine, I'd pick my grapes, juice them immediately, store them in brand new casks, which is a huge expense. After that, every 3 months I change casks for 3 years. 3 years. Okay? Whether we do that here in Australia, I think that's just a huge, like, it's not very necessary, but that's what they do. And that's what gives you the value. That's why sometimes you can buy a bottle of Sauterne for $30,000. $30,000. Now, what about this stuff? It's sweet. Why the hell can I pick up a bottle of Sauterne for 30,000, but I can pick up a bottle of fortified white for 12? For a full 750ml, not even 375. And this is what we call a Vindu Natural. Vindu Natural is when you grab any vintage, you let it ferment out to about 3 degrees of alcohol, 3% alcohol, which means it leaves a lot of residual sugar in there, and then you cut it with straight spirits, all right, anything about 70% and above, and that cuts off all the yeast, like the yeast activity in there, leaving behind a very light, sweet, and lovely fortified wine. Okay, for example, this little bastard costs $34. $34, and you probably think, it's not too bad. $34 for 375ml. Okay, that means it's $70 for a regular bottle of this stuff. And it's very sweet and delightful. Whereas this is $12. A Mudgee pipe clay wine. Okay, you'll be hard pressed to find a better quality of dessert wine, as far as white wine is concerned, than a Botrytis Semillon. I do strongly suggest you guys to try it. But that is the difference between these two white wine varieties. Okay, Noble Rot is a freak of nature, and the fact that anyone found out about it to this day amazes me. Anyway, guys, hopefully you can get your hands on some beautiful Botrytis Semillon, or even just a regular fortified white. Serve it with a bit of tonic water and ice and lemon. It's delightful. Either way, stay thirsty and like, share, and subscribe.